What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Murato, and we are A.P.E.S Development. This episode is kind of special and near and dear to my heart because I get to interview several of my friends in recovery. You're going to see some testimonies from some men and women who have started to or are recovering from drugs and alcohol. You're going to hear testimonies from some men and a woman who have been involved in the recovery community here in Columbia. A couple of the men that I'm going to be interviewing are dear friends of mine. I consider them brothers. And we're going to take a deep dive into the program that they're starting, GWP Recovery Ministries. And we're going to dive into their journey and how they got to the place where they are, where they have been called to shepherd other people out of the darkness. So buckle up. Get ready for some laughs and find out how you can get involved if you want to, helping other people. If you want to contribute time, you can make clothing donations, furniture donations. We're going to have all the information to contact them to make donations or to get involved if you want to get involved and volunteer. So stick around. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Help me welcome to the show, Josh Francis and my friend Billy Dodson. These are two of the men that I love and admire and respect because of their commitment to helping other people. Part of the 12-step recovery process is giving back what we've been so freely given. When we work those 12 steps in our lives, that 12 step is about carrying a message to other people. And no one can really work the 12 steps without continuing to try to help other people. That's part of the deal. But these two men have taken that mantle and gone above and beyond. They have been an example to me. It's been an amazing experience to watch both of you grow as individuals, to be servants of humble servants of God. Like, that's it. If I was to describe you to somebody, that is exactly how I would describe you. That you are both convicted to help other people and to shepherd lost souls and to bring them back to life. And I know that neither one of you take credit for that. I know because I watch you. I watch your walk. I watch the way that you interact with people. We're all lunatics and we're all sober, crazy drug addicts and alcoholics. But at the end of the day, like our sponsor says, it's what you do that determines who you are. And I try to live by that. I try to live by my actions determine who I am. And I can think, feel, and believe whatever I want about a person, place, or thing, but it's how I treat that person, place, or thing that determines who I am. And I think that you guys are examples of how to treat people with love and tolerance and kindness. And I've seen you both get pushed, and I've seen you both get tested, working with some of these men. Some of these men are loose cannons, and some of them are not mentally well. And I see you put the same amount of effort and the same amount of energy into people who are easy to help as you do into people who are hard to help. And day in and day out, I watch both of you guys, and I'm speaking to this only because my audience doesn't know. My audience isn't familiar, but I watch both of you guys volunteer and do this work for nothing for a long time. And did it with everything that you had. Full-time, it was a full-time avocation for you. It was a full-time job. And you had a construction company at the time. And you were trying to run your construction company and provide for your family and work full-time helping other people get sober. So that's why it's such an honor for me to be able to do this, because I think it is important that people know how convicted you both are and how invested you both are personally into what you're doing. It's not about, I've never seen either one of you chase credit. I've never seen either one of you chase a pat on the back or acknowledgement or anything other than the gratification of knowing that you helped someone, right? Like, that's the reward in it, and I see that. And I think that it's important that people know that, right? Like, this isn't about recognition. It isn't about popularity or fame. It's about the mission, which is bringing people back to the light, bringing lost souls out of the darkness, bringing them back to the light, and teaching them how to live. And I know that if it wasn't for me having been in my path, showing me the way and showing me the path and illuminating my path, I wouldn't be sober now. So for me to be able to participate in getting you some recognition, to getting your name out there, to getting the GWP name out there, it really is a privilege for me to be able to do that. I've got some things that I want to talk about specifically. Tell me how first of all, I didn't get your testimony. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and how you mix into all of this?
Well, I'm Billy. I'm Billy Dodson. I am a alcoholic and a drug addict. And I'm a drug court baby. That's how I say it. That's how I describe it sometimes to some of the guys that are in drug court. You know, drug court had a hard time. I am from Murray County. And drug court signed me up, took me in, but they had nowhere to send me. And they were going to send me to Safe Harbor or some rehab way off because there was nowhere for me to go. And I didn't know any of this at the time. And the 2 days before they were going to pick me up, my case manager said that there is a new house in Columbia that just opened up and we're going to send you there. And I got out they picked me up out of jail, signed me out of jail, took me to this halfway house and dropped me off. And I stayed there for 3 months by myself. You know, the people that owned it lived in Nashville. They were never there. And they managed the house with cameras and a Sunday meeting. And, you know, I complained about it the whole entire time. Joe Morado would definitely agree. He heard every single time that something happened. You know, I would go to the AA meeting. Luckily, that house was close to the Friendship House. And so I was able to walk there. But I didn't care about recovery housing being a problem. But at the time, I was living that problem. It was very real to me because there was nowhere I could go. Miss Sharon always said, well, there's another place for you, Billy. And that is prison. So anyway, I completed and graduated drug court to go back off onto my world. And I did that. And, you know, I started going to the AA house, got a sponsor, and started to change my life. And Sharon, after I graduated, you know, Sharon would ask me to reach out to people. And so I reached out to one person in particular. And he was just so happy. It was at this house called Esther Haven. Never heard of it. Thought it was kind of silly. And I go over there one day to meet Bobby. And that's how I met Josh Francis, through Bobby Lambert, through working with this man. I've been talking to Bobby for 6-7 months before this, but he just could not get it. They kept sending him to rehabs, facilities. They just kept sending him places. And then he got out and he wanted to come over there, and I had met Josh. And
that ain't where we met.
Now we met in Murray County Jail.
we met in 122.
We met in 622 in the work pod. I may or may not have given him some dip or tobacco products.
I was only 6 months sober.
So let me catch this.
I wouldn't walk in the lines and shit.
I
I would do drugs. I would take some dip.
So you were 6 months sober in jail.
Oh yeah.
Met this cat in jail, and he gave you tobacco in jail.
Yeah, I was still the old me.
And somehow God saw fit to bring that full circle. And for you to run into each other at a sober living house in Columbia.
He asked me one day in jail. He said, he said, "Do you want to join us in the Bible study?" I said, "No, Josh, that's not what I'm trying to do.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
I mean, and
everybody would just give me an excuse or whatever. He's the only guy that answered honest. He says, "Josh, that's just not what I'm trying to do." I think he was laying on his bunk and I'm standing over him. Billy, come, Josh, that is not what I'm trying to do today.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
That was That was 6 years or 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But I remember riding to jail that night. I was crying. I was there for, I had a DUI. Third is what it went down as. It was actually my fifth, but it went down as a third. And there was 2 other guys the same day with the same charge. They let them off with probation, no jail time. My alert committee said, they're not talking about it. They're not. You're going to jail. There's no discussion. I said, no, there's no way.
So you went to jail sober?
I was jail sober.
And
6 months sober. I was already working for Freeman Recovery Center. Like, I was doing the deal. I was the king of AA in my mind. I was a believer. I mean, I was doing everything that I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
The treatment center, Sean wrote a letter, speaking on my behalf. Rick, I mean, everybody had done everything to keep me from going to jail, and they would not deal. They said, you are going. And all I could think of was Paul. Paul had to go to prison. He was in the prisons. I said, there's something for me to do in this jail. I remember riding there that night. I said, Lord, I'm going to carry the message into the jail. I'm going to carry your message, your word into this jail. But I ask you to speed the time up. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing the juvenile center sign. Mm-hmm. As I was praying that prayer, and I went in. I think I was in population like 3 days, and they come got me, pulled me to the work pod, and that's where I met Billy. I started doing a Bible study. My mentor always told me, trick them if you got to. And I would get cookies. I would buy all the cookies I could on commissary, and I would give the cookies away at the Bible study to get people to come to the Bible study.
Did it work?
It worked. Yeah. There would be people who would come to the Bible study. There's a couple guys. I met Billy through that. There's another guy, Blake, that we met in there. When I got out, he had come to Fresh Start. He was in the Fresh Start house when it first opened. He relapsed. Me and another guy took him to treatment. He's sober today. He lined up me and Billy, and God is just the ultimate chess player.
Yeah, 100%.
He lines up all this stuff.
That was my point of bringing that up, because that was 5 years ago, and then cut to Bobby's 7 months sober. So in the last year, you guys run into each other again at the sober living house, and you had been sober for how long at that point? When you started talking to Bobby at the house?
Oh, going on 2 years, a year and a half.
Yeah, so you were a year and a half sober.
Mm-hmm.
Josh is 4.5 years sober, and here you guys like, what are you doing here? And get to talking and catching up.
Yeah, he was ready to talk about God then.
All of a sudden,
he was ready to talk about God.
It took a minute.
Yeah,
It took what it took.
It took what it took. That's it. Listen, when I came to Columbia, Tennessee, the last thing I was looking for was a relationship with God.
Yes.
Me and God weren't talking, and I was okay with that.
When I started, I was not going to be a Bible thumper. I was not fixing to drink the Kool-Aid.
Definitely not. I remember.
I couldn't stand even the thought of Jesus. I had so many trust issues with my other senior. I had trust issues with women, and I thought this whole Jesus thing was a pepper story for a whole named Mary. That's and it sounds terrible, like it's almost blasphemous, But
it was your.
That was my view at that time, so I could always say it that way, and I would not fit anybody. But that's how I viewed the Bible. That is a cover story for a whore named Mary. That's all it was. They made up all that stuff
to cover up the miraculous conception. Right, I got you.
And that's what I went with. But I knew that God was working in my life. I felt this, and I knew it was happening. It never stopped. I started to pray, and I was just talking to the Creator God. I knew there was no way that there could be only one God, and all these other gods didn't exist. And, I just talked to the Creator God, and I said, well, if there is a God, it's going to be a God that's going to accept all of this crap. He knows where He is. He's got to be a God of it. And that's where I started, just the Creator God.
Yeah.
And at that time, I called him the God of AA. And I set out to convert Christians from the Bible to the AA way. And in doing that, I studied the Bible, and I would find all these contradictions. I'd go and talk to my roommate Jeff, and to disprove, to convert him to AA. And in that process, I became a Bible thumper. Somebody hit me with the Kool-Aid, and I didn't know about it.
Okay, so you guys end up meeting at the Hester Haven house, and a friendship is born. not just a friendship,
Yes.
but a brotherhood, a brotherly connection is formed, and you two go at recruiting and helping and building on that foundation of that house with those 4 men, and blew up another program to the point where they have, 6 houses now in Columbia?
Yeah.
6 men's houses?
When we started, we met Deidre, and she was just as gung-ho as us.
Mhm.
As many houses as we would open, she was ready, let's get it.
Mhm.
Wouldn't touch the brakes. And that's what we're about. We're just go, and we went, and every house we opened, we just went. We got the house, we opened the house, we asked for furniture, we never quit.
Mhm.
And it's
been a miracle to watch. Like, I'm telling you as an outsider,
This
to watch it
all
happen.
started. We was in church, right? In this time, listen, and probably nobody remembers this message. But Pastor Morgan said that when they got the new church, that they started to build the roof. They didn't have the money. They didn't know what to do. And he said he wouldn't talk to another guy. And he told him, just start doing it. Just start building the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, they raised the money and done the whole roof. And they raised more than what they needed. And I don't remember anything else he said, but just start building the roof. You ain't got to have the money. You ain't got to have you ain't got to have all that. God is going to make a way. He's going to provide a way. And that's what me and Billy, that really has inspired all of this in me and Billy. Just start building the roof. And that's what we did. We had no money. We had no funds. And we just started to build the roof.
Mm-hmm.
We got in there. We put the work in. We got the houses. God had prepared us for all this. Billy's a plumber. I have a construction business. I got all the tools. We got the houses, remodeled the houses. Everything that God has lined up everything just perfectly to do this.
Mm-hmm.
When we would hit spots where it'd be finances, holding us up, me and Bill would go out into the community and we would just get the money.
Mm-hmm.
And God, he just had it prepared the whole way. We went one time and talked to this guy, and he pulled a check out of his wallet, looked like it had been there since 1930.
Mm-hmm.
Took a piece of tape and put it on it, take the check back together.
Because it was that old.
It was that old, been in his wallet. God had that check in that man's wallet that long, and he wrote the check and met the whole need.
Mm-hmm.
We needed $10,000. He met the need, and we opened another house. I think that might have been the first one.
Mm-hmm.
That was the first one. That's what started us. He wrote the check, and we went. And
That's when we first realized that God is in this, because we were all the way against the wall. We were frustrated. We needed all the help. We did not find no other solution other than just, hey, we need help.
Knocking on doors.
And me and Josh went to a few places, and then we went to this one place and asked him, and he said, yes. He said, for sure. He said, how much? And we told him, and he wrote a check for the whole amount.
2 checks.
Yeah, half on one and half on the other. Don't know why, but he did make 2 checks. One of them was ripped. I thought, well, this is weird.
Yeah, definitely. I would have been like, they're never going to accept
The whole time outside, it was we had clients in the truck
waiting for you
that we had picked up from work or wherever, and they were waiting on us. They had no idea what we was really even doing. And it just come this monsoon storm, the clouds, it's thundering, lightning,
Out of
hail.
nowhere.
And by the time we walked out, it was
Supernatural bleeding through.
it's just ridiculous, and it was over with. And and then we was like, okay, I see you got our back.
He has a way of doing that.
You are real.
Yeah, he has
For
a way
sure,
of
you got us. You gonna help us, and we just kept on. And we'd open another house, and God sent every man to it. And we would open another house, and God would send every man to it. And we have fought this whole time. I've never met a man. Listen, I've moved a lot of furniture since I got sober. But there's only 2 things that I know of right now. And this does not make me better than nobody. But I have taken furniture out of my place and did without just to give it to the recovery community, some of the houses. And Josh Francis, I went to his house, woke his child up and said, get off the couch. And we loaded the couch onto the truck and took it to the house. We replaced the couch, but
It was about being willing.
Mhm.
How far are you willing to go to help somebody? We run out of beds, somebody would sleep on the couch.
We took
Or we would take our bed, he took his bunk beds and put it in the house for, that's just different. I don't know what that is, but that's just different.
It's not when God's in it. You just.
Well, I've had the
It's hard to
opportunity.
hold back from it. Men are quitting their jobs to do this for free.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just amazing to see it happen.
Well, and what's even more amazing is that as the community becomes more informed and more aware, they're going to want to get involved too.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I want to talk about. So now we got a little backstory on how you two partnered up. How did GWP come to be? How did GWP Ministries come to be? Because people are going to want to know, like, well, how did this become a thing? Like, how did this get born?
Yes. We do not know God's plan.
Right. What is the mission? What's the purpose?
To Gerald, my friend Gerald says it best. He wants a recovery house on every street and a church on every corner. Since I graduated drug court, they have done nothing but ask me to try to help get something in Lawrenceburg. And they say Fayetteville. I don't know where Fayetteville is, but why not? The 22nd Judicial District Drug Court, and this is not a drug court thing, but drug court, they have the need there just like they did here before we started doing what we did here.
Right.
The goal would be to go to Lawrenceburg, Fayetteville, Giles County, Georgia, Kentucky, Louisiana. Listen, the number one leading cause of death between us three men sitting here right now is overdose. In this country, the most likely reason we're going to die is overdose. That's a national number between ages of 18 and 45. Yes, I'm out of that range. However, it's the number one killer in this country, and it's like people are talking about it. Rehabs are opening, and that's great. But what do they do when they get out of rehab? Oh, we're done with the 28 days. We've built you $30,000. I hope you make it.
Right.
We all know sitting here that's just not enough.
That's just one piece of the puzzle.
That's one piece of the puzzle. 30 days.
You got to be separated from the drugs and alcohol.
Yeah.
Well, you have to.
That's only the start.
You have to replace the behavior,
Yeah.
and the
And that
treatment
takes
centers.
time.
The treatment centers don't do that. The treatment centers get down to causes and conditions. They get you to unpack your baggage and really look at why you're getting loaded and what you're running from. But at the end of the day, when you, like you said, when you leave that 28, 30-day program, even if it's 60, 90 days, they're not teaching you life skills. They're not teaching you behaviors. They're not getting you a sponsor that you're calling instead of your dope dealer. They're not teaching you how to live.
Yeah.
Well, look, I don't know what program you went to. Freeman's doing all of that.
Well, that's good.
Sober living, treatment.
But
Yeah.
We got to connect
Yeah, right.
those things.
I just give them a leg up. Yeah, and
And the
that's
places we know are just the 28 day. We got to build relationships with them
right.
and provide that second part of it.
100%. Well,
Because
that's
they're doing their part. You have to have that 28 days, and we're not qualified to do that.
to
28
provide the
days.
medical assistance.
We don't have any of
the
that.
staff.
I can't treat somebody that's having a seizure.
Facilitating.
That's going through tremor. I can't do any of that.
Well, I'm facilitating group therapy sessions
Yeah.
all day long,
Right.
right? I mean, definitely not.
Yeah.
So, but those are the places that you can build a pipeline to
Mhm.
for your clients, to give people a resource out of treatment where they can go after care, right? Like that's the idea, is GWP and what the sober living homes that you're going to be opening is going to provide aftercare for people who have gone to a rehab or a treatment center or a detox and are ready to start getting back on their feet, right? So the next question that I have for you is, how can people find you? How can people get a hold of you? So, do you have a website?
We do. It's all that's being made right now.
Okay, and that's
God,
okay.
God just sent this college student. She's doing a project. I've been instructed. I'm not internet. I'm not good with none of that stuff. He's not. I mean, we're just not that.
Right.
Billy is trained on Windows 7. He's
Right.
got a degree
yeah.
in computer science, but it's
Listen,
Information technology.
yes, sir. Yes,
whatever.
sir.
And
I didn't know. I didn't
Oh,
know.
he's
See, I
got
just
it.
learned something about
Well,
it.
it's owed.
Yeah, no, it's what they call obsolete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have none of that experience.
Right.
well, a guy that sent this college student, she's doing a project, community project, and she's taking on all of that. All that's in the process of making it.
Right.
We've got our domain, GWPministries.com.
Okay.
You can go to it. It's not a functioning website yet. But it will be.
Right.
We're going to have, links, and it'll be all going. We've got a Facebook page.
Well, and listen, and that's something that I said before, is we're going to make sure, when I was talking to Justin, we're going to make sure that there's links in the description of this video. We're going to put contact information if people want to reach out to you directly, email address, phone number, whatever you want to put on there, we'll put on there. One of the things that Justin touched on a little bit, and this is something that I'd love for you guys to elaborate on, is how people can get involved, right? Speaking at the community level, how can people get involved? Like Justin was talking about volunteer work.
So first thing, you got to pass a drug test.
Okay, so that's a requirement.
That's a requirement. We're going to drug test. If you want to work with our people, if you want to volunteer in our program, you got to pass a drug test, and you got to be okay with me drug testing you anytime.
Okay.
If I see you looking funny, I'm drug testing you. That's just. You're going
that's
to be held accountable. And if you see me looking funny, I want you to drug test me. All of us have that ability. Our clients,
and that's about protecting.
If my client wants to call me out and drug test me,
sure. It's not to out anybody. It's not to make anybody think.
We're not going to embarrass nobody.
Right.
It'll be a problem, but
it's about protecting.
You got to be willing to take a drug test.
Right.
You got to be passing drug tests.
So there you go. If you want,
that's number one. If you want to help, you're going to be sober.
So some of the things that Justin mentioned was transportation, right? Like people are going to need rides to work.
That is a big thing. That has been the hardest thing for us to overcome.
Is lack of transportation.
So if anybody wants to start a van service to transport people for free, or for real, it's a business that's there that's for real that somebody could start and do transportation. Mm-hmm. You're not going to drive any of these guys around illegally. Valid license, valid insurance, valid all these things. But transportation is the number one need, because no one comes into our program with cars, money, insurance, registered to their right name, tags, it's right, all these things. So we take them to work. We pick them up from work. We take them to church. We pick them up from church. We take them to AA meetings. We bring them home from AA meetings. We take them to mental health, doctor's appointments, and we bring them home.
And you guys have been facilitating this kind of transportation for the last, as long as I've known that you've been involved, the last couple of years, you guys have been facilitating, organizing transportation.
I don't know if I would call it organizing, Joe, but we...
facilitating for sure.
We've been managing the chaos.
Yeah, right. You're talking about 30 people a day. Getting him to work, getting him to meetings, getting him home from work, getting him to the grocery store, getting him to Walmart if they need.
And we was able to do that with the community here in Columbia.
Right.
We've got probably 10 people that are willing to give rides. We could just call them and say, hey, can you pick somebody up from the Santa Fe house and take them here? Right. And they do it.
And that's
what it takes to be able to do this. We have to have the community support involved and willing to drive out here and get somebody and take them to a meeting and wait on them, or go into the meeting with them, because they need a ride back home as well.
There's the recovery dog. Feeling left out.
Sister.
We need volunteers to cover like weekend shifts.
Yeah.
We try to do our days off Saturday, and the way we do that is to get volunteers to come in and cover the weekends, and we can let our house peers have days off. That's how we do it. We do 4 or 5 hour shifts. That's another way you could get in.
So another thing that Justin brought up was like life skills, right? Like people need help managing their finances.
Yeah.
People need help learning how to write a resume.
All of it.
People need help.
Listen, we're based. When I got sober, I knew how to lay brick. I was probably the best bricklayer. In my mind, I was the best in the world. I was a really good bricklayer, but that's it. Mm-hmm. That was it. I didn't know how to do anything when I got here. I just recently learned how to shave right. Mm-hmm. And that's real. I'm a 30-year-old man, and I just learned how to shave like 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. When the guy shaving me, I realized, well, he just is not pressing down as hard as I do. That's why I cut myself up. I pressed down too hard. That's a real thing. I didn't have a father that taught me to shave. Mm-hmm. My parents were in addiction. I didn't have that. And the guys that we have coming in, a lot of them don't have that.
Yeah.
They don't have a father figure. They don't know how to act. They don't know how to keep a clean house.
Well,
It's basic things that you think all people have, but we don't. We don't have nothing. I didn't make my bed. I didn't clean I didn't do any of that stuff when I first got sober.
Yeah.
I did that because Sean made me do it.
Mhm.
And it taught me to clean my room, to make my bed,
Yeah.
to wash my clothes regularly.
Listen, I tell you
that
guys,
wasn't things that
I tell you guys all the
just
time,
did.
my house is clean, my dishes are done, my bed is made right now. My bed was made before I knew there was going to be 8 people here tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I learned that in sober living. I learned to take care of
Mine is
myself.
not made.
I got taught to be responsible and accountable for my own space in sober living. That's where I learned that. So, I mean, I stand beside that 100%. These people need life skills, and they need to be taught. And they need to be taught with love and tolerance, right?
And that's it, and that's what it takes. It takes a lot of grace to do this.
Yeah.
When these men first come in, when me and Billy first started, we thumped them on the head.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't let them get away with nothing, and it wasn't right. It worked. Those 4 men got started. I don't know how they made it. They did.
Out of spite. They did it to spite y'all.
I mean, we was with them,
spite y'all.
but we was right there with them.
I know at least one that stayed sober just to spite your ass because you said he wouldn't.
Yeah. We had to soften up a lot. It takes a lot of grace.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even get onto them the first 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even give them punishment. I mean, we just can't. We don't know how to do anything when we get here. We're going to learn everything. And it takes at least 30 days of grace.
Mm-hmm. Just to get
That's
grounded, to feel safe and secure somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, most of us have been rolling stones for so long. Hell, I don't even remember the last time that I was in a stable place for more than, a month anywhere before I got sober. So, I mean,
I haven't even calmed down in a month.
Definitely not. I was a lunatic for my first 6 or 7 months, for sure. And I mean, I love the testimonies of all the guys tonight, seeing where different people are at in different stages of their recovery, and seeing the light on, even in Ira, you know what I mean? 64 days, 65 days, the light's on in his eyes, and has a...
He's ready.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
His house gear, I mean, he's moving up. He's
right, he's doing the
doing
thing. Right. But that comes from y'all's leadership. It comes from you guys setting the example, right? Every single person that I talked to tonight talked about you guys being in the trenches, not asking them to do things that you wouldn't do yourself, not asking them to do things that you haven't done yourself, right? And you're teaching them, and now they're teaching other people. And that's 12 steps of recovery right there. That's it. Leading these men into recovery, and then helping them help somebody else. I mean, you're laying the groundwork for a recovery community to continue building itself, even in the wake of your absence. If you move to Lawrenceburg, the recovery community that you both helped start here is going to continue to thrive because of the men that have followed in your footsteps. You know what I mean? I don't know if you guys realize that, but you've created a legacy. And as long as the men keep doing what you've taught them, they will continue to foster new men to continue to do the same thing, right? I mean, you got Jody, you got LT running houses that are teaching the men that are coming up that are going to be running those houses when LT and Jody are gone. I mean, look at Bobby. Bobby is like a miracle. He's a fucking miracle.
Pastor Bobby.
Dude, right?
He married 2 people tonight.
From the broken shell of a man, that could not look you in the eye, to a man brimming over with confidence in who he is and in his path, and comfortable in the path that he is walking faithfully. That's a miracle. And it has nothing to do with us, except for God put us in his path. That's it. God made us examples to be an example to him, and he has took the torch and run. You know what I'm saying? So we got volunteer work, transportation, life coaching, job placements, things like that. We talk about donations. People can donate, right? Everybody needs things. Toiletries, clothing, food, cleaning supplies. All of these things are ways that furniture, you guys talk about furniture, taking furniture out of your own homes to furnish these houses.
Well, we partnered with a guy that's going to meet that need completely. He's going to buy the homes, and he's going to pay our program. We're going to do a vocational training program.
Okay.
And we're going to remodel these houses. He's going to pay the program. We're going to teach these men a trade.
Okay.
We'll teach them to remodel, we'll teach them electrical, we're going to teach them all that stuff. And that's what we're going to do for this guy. He's going to buy the houses, we're going to remodel the houses, and he's going to pay us to do that. Then he's going to furnish these houses, and he's going to rent them back to us.
Okay.
And in doing that, we're going to be able to make the program completely free.
Right.
Like, they'll have to work. You know, they're going to earn it. They're not going to just, you know, I don't believe you appreciate anything you don't pay for.
Definitely.
But they're going to be grinding. They're going to be working. They're going to.
Well, what better way for them to earn their keep than to learn a trade at the
They're
same
going to learn
time?
a trade. When they leave in a year, they're going to be fully qualified to remodel houses. They can go and start their own business, and we would help them to do that. When they leave, they'd be fully qualified to start their own business. And, you know, we want to help them do that, or help them to place them with another construction company. And we're not only going to do that, that's just where we're going to start, because that's what I know, that's what Billy knows. We know we can do that trade.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to go to other businesses, we're going to get other vocational training, but we're going to start right there. We're going to make the program free. We're going to have the furniture. You know, God, He prepared us with that sermon, that just start building the roof.
Yeah.
You know, with all this in mind. And that's what we've done. We've done the work. And now, you know, He sent somebody to meet all of that need. So we're going to continue to build, and just in a different way. Mm-hmm. We're going to put all that energy that we've used, you know, to get furniture, to get donations. We're going to be able to put that in another place.
Right.
Teach these men. We're going to be able to spend more time with the men. We're going to make the program free for the men. I mean, it's just amazing to me what God is doing.
If we stay close to Him and do His
I mean,
work
that's
well.
it. If we just follow God.
Yeah.
And Billy says our part is stupid small.
Yeah.
And that's true.
It is.
I mean, it's
Absolutely.
just stupid small. And God has got all this lined up. He's got so much in store for us if we would just follow Him, just seek after Him. And He's got it all figured out already. He's got every piece in place. And we're just here to do that. That's all we're really trying to do. We just are trying to stay where God wants us and do what we know He's called us to do. I'm good at I've always been real good at everything I've done. I've always been talented, been a copy, just arrogant.
You're an all or nothing person.
Yeah.
That's how most of us are.
But with this right here, I don't have to, like, I have to try I have to make all that happen. I don't have to try hard to make this recovery thing happen. It just happens. God put me and Billy together, and we work well together, and it's just amazing. You know, only God can do things like this. I mean, it's just, I don't even know how to describe it to you, Joe. It's amazing, and I'm glad to be here and be a part of it.
I mean, listen,
and I'm looking forward to it.
You said God has just been using us. You know what I'm saying? Like the way that you guys came full circle in your meeting, and how you came to be together now, working together in this. How I came to be in both of your lives. You know what I'm saying? Like and me doing this podcast, and how it took off on its own, and now how that's going to be a resource for you guys to get your name and your information out there. Like I couldn't ask for a better reason to do an episode and to put this out there. You know what I'm saying? To get your name and your information out there. So volunteer work, donations. The last thing on that list is charitable donations. People can donate financially to help sponsor transportation.
Yeah. So
food,
that
clothing.
girl that's doing the marketing on that, she's starting the Annie Hardison Scholarship Fund.
Okay.
And what that's going to be is, like, guys that come from jail, you have no money, you got no club, you got nothing. We're going to have a team where we'll interview this guy, and it's not going to be much. If you're coming from jail, you're just going to qualify. You got nothing. We're going to pay your first month's rent, where you don't have to rush into work or whatever. It'll pay that. It'll help get clothes, help like with mental, like with therapy, stuff like that. So we've got that going. You could donate straight into that. None of that stuff is all together yet, but it will be.
Okay.
We've got a cash app that you could donate into now.
Okay. And we can put that in the comments too.
Yeah.
If people want to help now, or if they want to wait, they can do that too. I just want to make sure that people understand that there are many ways that they can get involved.
Yes.
If they can't afford their time, if they don't have things that they can donate or contribute that way, if they're better off financially, they can donate that way, or vice versa. If they don't have the funds but they have the time, because we all have ways that we can contribute. We all have something that we can bring to the table to help other people. And I believe this is a worthy cause. You know what I'm saying? I'm very passionate about recovery, obviously. You know, I love helping other people. I love seeing people get their feet on the ground and becoming active members of society. I love it. So what's the end goal? That's the last question I have for you, is the end game. What is the end goal?
A recovery house on every street and a church on every corner.
I mean,
That's it. We plan to start. I've got a rental property we looked at. We're hoping to close that deal up Monday
in Lawrenceburg?
in Lawrenceburg.
Okay.
We're going to start with that house. We're going to remodel the other house for the guy. We're going to move the guys in that house. He's going to get another house. We plan to do 4 men's houses. And as soon as we get that done, we're going to open a women's treatment house and do the same thing again. And then we'll have 8 houses down there. We're probably going to start immediately. We're going to start doing that. We're going to start seeking out a church to partner with and do Celebrate Recovery down there, do a Sunday night service. And
No, you're good. Recovery house on every street, church on every corner.
Yes, 2 cotton cap.
that's it. Once we get that established in Lawrenceburg, we're going to go to another town.
Yeah.
We're going to do it again.
Yes.
God has called us into a ministry, into like an evangelistic ministry, and that was the original mission of Fresh Start. Was something along those lines. You go to a town and partner with a church, and that's it. Get it established. Go to another town, and that's it. And that's what we plan to do.
I know that y'all's hearts are in this 100%. I know that I love and respect and admire both of you for the paths that you walk. I know that the 3 of us respect each other and love each other in that way because of that. So I mean, this has been a privilege for me. I love it. I love you guys. I appreciate you coming and talking to me. We are A.P.E.S Development. This has been episode 16, GWP Recovery Ministries. Josh, Francis, Billy Dodson. If you like what you heard, you support the cause, like, subscribe, comment. I don't care what you say about me as long as you talk about me. I'm Joe Rob.